Zombies, a mythological undead, created through the reanimation of a corpse. The term comes from Haitian folklore, in which a zombie is a dead body reanimated through various methods, most commonly magical practices in religions like voodoo. Modern media depictions of the reanimation of the dead often do not involve magic, but rather science fictional methods such as fungi, radiation, gases, diseases, plants, bacteria, viruses, etc. The English word zombie was first recorded in 1819 in a history of Brazil by the poet Robert Southey in the form of zombie. Dictionaries trace the word's origin to African languages relating to words connected to gods, ghosts, souls. One of the first books to expose Western culture to the concept of the voodoo zombie was W.B.C. Brooks' The Magic Island, 1929. The account of a narrator who encounters voodoo cults in Haiti and their resurrected thralls. In recent times, the version of the zombie has changed from that described in Haitian folklore. During the later half of the 20th century, the interpretation of the zombie as an undead person that attacks and eats the flesh of living people is drawn largely from George A. Romero's film Night of the Living Dead, 1968, which was partially inspired by Richard Matheson's novel I Am Legend, 1954, post-apocalyptic horror novel. It was influential in the modern development of zombie and vampire literature, and in popularizing the concept of a worldwide day of reckoning, where the world was coming to an end. When we go back to Night of the Living Dead, the word zombie was never used, but was later applied by fans. Later on, we also had zombie films such as Dawn of the Dead, 1978, Return of the Living Dead, 1985, the latter of which introduced the concept of zombies that eat brains, as well as Michael Jackson's music video Thriller, 1983. The genre waned for some years, but the mid-1990s saw the introduction of Resident Evil and The House of the Dead, two breakout successes of video games featuring zombie enemies, which would later go on to become highly influential and well-known. And then there were also low-budget zombie films such as the zombie comedy Bio-Zombie, 1998, and an action film Versus 2000. 2004, we had Dawn of the Dead remake. There was also Resident Evil in the early 2000s and the House of the Dead films. There was a British zombie comedy called Shaun of the Dead, 2004. The whole zombie apocalypse, end of the world scenario, where the global zombie infestation has since become a staple of modern zombie media. Seen in such media as the Walking Dead franchise. In the late 2000s and 2010s saw the humanization of the zombie archetype, with the zombies increasingly portrayed as friends and love interests for humans. Notable examples of the latter include the movies Warm Bodies and Zombies, novels American Gods, Generation Dead, and Bone Song, animated movie Corpse Bride, the TV series iZombie, and Santa Clarita Diet. And there's a novel, Is This a Zombie? In this context, zombies are often seen as stand-ins for discriminated groups struggling for equality, and the human-zombie romantic relationship is interpreted as a metaphor for sexual liberation and taboo breaking. Given that zombies are subject to wild desires and free from social conventions. We are now going to get into, is it even possible for a human being to turn into a zombie? Chemical-wise, there has been research done by Wade Davis, a Harvard ethnobotanist, presented a pharmacological case for zombies in a 1983 article in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, and later in two popular books, The Serpent and the Rainbow, 1985, and Passages of Darkness, Ethnobiology of the Haitian Zombie, 1988. Davis traveled to Haiti in 1982, and as a result of his investigations, claimed that a living person can be turned into a zombie by two special powders being introduced into the bloodstream, usually through a wound. The first, which is a powder strike, includes tetrodotoxin, a powerful and frequently fatal neurotoxin found in the flesh of the pufferfish. The second powder consists of delirium drugs such as datura. Together, these powders were said to induce a death-like state in which the will of the victim would be entirely subjected to that of the bokor. Davis also popularized the story of a Haitian man who claimed to have been turned into a zombie by a Haitian voodoo and forced to work as a slave. And what is the best way to kill a zombie? Night of the Living Dead. A newscaster said the following. The Survival Command Center at the Pentagon has disclosed that a ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. Officials are quoted as explaining that since the brain of a ghoul has been activated by the radiation, the plan is kill the brain and you kill the ghoul. The key, of course, is avoid being bit by the zombie. Once it bites you, you will turn within 24 hours. Of course, there's all types of zombies. Some are slow, some are fast. Some have better hearing than others, but usually it's been portrayed that the zombies have difficulty seeing and hearing unless it's a loud noise, then they're drawn towards it. Then as they get closer, the need to eat consumes them, and they need to feed on human flesh, especially the brain, which is loaded with the most nutrients for them to survive. And yes, they can also eat animals. Humans can also blend in amongst them if covered with the zombie blood and guts. So there are many different versions of the zombie. Endless if you want it to be. And then, of course, some will wonder, why don't the zombies just eat each other? Of course, that's possible, but the key is they're not actually alive. They're existing through a host of some sort that's inside them, a virus, bacteria. Somehow they've changed. So, of course, most plots involve them attacking humans. Attacking themselves, of course, tearing at their own flesh. Eating other zombies wouldn't be as scary. But anything is possible with zombies. Just remember, if you see your neighbor wandering around, be careful, because they may just be a zombie. Until the next time, keep looking for those unknown monsters.